In the frozen silence of interstellar space, billions of miles from Earth, a machine older than most of the people alive today has just done something it was never designed to do. Voyager 1, the farthest human-made object in history, has shifted its attention. It is no longer peering outward into the endless unknown, but back toward the solar system, back toward us. And what it found, what it whispered through the faint and fragile signal of its fading instruments, has left scientists unsettled, engineers baffled, and astronomers staring into the dark with a sense of unease they cannot quite explain. This is not just about distance. It is about the fact that something Voyager 1 transmitted defies the models, bends the rules, and contradicts everything we thought we knew about the edge of our cosmic neighborhood. The data feels less like a measurement, and more like a warning. The story of Voyager began with a rare alignment of the outer planets, a cosmic opportunity that comes only once every 176 years. It allowed NASA to sling a small probe from Jupiter to Saturn, from Uranus to Neptune, each world's gravity flinging it farther and faster. Launched in 1977, Voyager 1 was never expected to last more than a handful of years. And yet, nearly half a century later, powered by a fading core of plutonium, it is still alive, still moving, still sending back its whispers from the void. It has shown us storms on Jupiter like living worlds, Saturn's rings carved with mysterious gaps, and moons more active than anyone imagined. But nothing in those images prepared us for what it faces now. Because now it is not simply exploring space. It is crossing a frontier we never truly understood, the heliopause, the boundary where the sun's reach ends and something far stranger begins. Scientists once thought the crossing would be simple. A drop in solar wind. A new magnetic direction. A clean transition from the domain of our star into the open sea of the galaxy. But when Voyager crossed in 2012, the reality was not simple at all. The charged particles behaved as expected. But the magnetic field did not. It remained the same, clinging to Voyager as if the solar system refused to let go. It was as though Voyager had stepped through a doorway only to find itself in the same room, as if the boundary was not a line but a labyrinth. And then came the whispers. Low-frequency plasma waves trembled across Voyager's sensors, rising and falling in a rhythm that felt less like chaos and more like intention. Some scientists described it as cosmic resonance, the hum of interstellar space itself. But others noticed something stranger. It sounded almost as though space was answering. Years later, the signals deepened in mystery. Voyager began detecting plasma fluctuations that mirrored its own transmissions, like an echo in the dark. Something out there was not just receiving. It was replying. And then, for nearly 2 weeks, Voyager's signal faltered. Not silence, not failure, but a stuttering stream, as if it had paused. When it resumed, its sensors were no longer aligned with the path ahead. They had shifted, impossibly, toward a region behind it, toward the solar system, toward home. What it sent back was even more unsettling. Surges of energy, dense fluctuations, ripples in space that suggested something vast and hidden had stirred in the dark. And then, the golden record entered the mystery. That copper disc carrying greetings in 55 languages, music, and images of Earth, a hopeful message cast into eternity. Analysts noticed something chilling in Voyager's reoriented data. Subtle electromagnetic patterns emerged, resembling fragments of the golden record's encoded waveforms. Not copies but distortions. Twisted reflections, as if the message had not just been heard, but altered and sent back. Soon after, Voyager's dust detector began logging impacts that made no sense. Grains too heavy, too structured, carrying isotopes rarely seen in our own galaxy. It was as if Voyager had brushed against the edges of something vast, ancient, and unseen. A lattice of matter. A relic. Or perhaps the scattered bones of something that was once alive. And then came the impossible shift. Voyager's trajectory bent. Not by thrusters, not by gravity, but by something else, an invisible pull. Simulations failed to explain it unless an external force was at play, as though something in the dark had reached out and nudged the spacecraft. And then the last plasma wave sensor carried through something extraordinary. A surge. A pulse. Rising, falling, stopping. Then repeating. Not a star. Not a pulsar. Not random. Some said it echoed the beat of a heart. Others thought it was seismic, the tremor of something massive moving slowly through the void. But all agreed. The signal came from behind. From the space Voyager had already passed through. From the direction it had turned to face. What did it encounter? A structure hidden in the black? A presence stitched into the fabric of interstellar space? Voyager 1 was never meant to be a sentinel. It was a messenger, a fragile gesture of hope flung into the infinite night. But now, half a century later, it has turned back. Not because we commanded it, but as if compelled. What it has sent is not an answer, not an image, but a question. A question written in plasma, dust, and silence. A question we may not want to hear. Because maybe the universe isn't empty. Maybe it's listening.